Can they have a dog, cat, and a snake, and a
Don't forget the goldfish. Goldfish.
How many pets can they have? There's no restriction on that. Another dog's breakfast of government legislation. It looks like the Renters Reform Bill is the subject of this one, and pets. Landlords are going to have to accept requests from tenants to keep pets. Now, I've got a bone of contention with this one, and we'll be discussing this with Andrew very, very shortly. But first, let me tell you about the Baker Street Property Meet, the UK's #1 property investors networking event, where 300 property investors meet each month. It's hosted, of course, by myself and Andrew Roberts.
Hi Ranjan. Look forward to seeing you all at the next Baker Street. Don't leave booking your tickets till too late. We sell out every month.
Now, on to this dog's breakfast here, pets. This has been, it seems that, the Labour guys proposed something and this mob seemed to then adopt it. This was proposed, I heard Jeremy Corbyn propose this, landlords should be obliged to take on pets. More than half of landlords are opposed to this. What are your bone of contention with all of this?
Well, all I'm seeing is that little cartoon movie, Ratatouille, and we've got rats running everywhere in our properties.
Well, that's
and the tenants are trying to say, we've brought them in and they brought them in.
Well, actually, that's an interesting point. Some people may be keeping rats as pets, but then they are pests. So we could be going round a tenant's property on a routine inspection, seeing they have a pet rat, but then calling out the rat exterminator to exterminate the poor pet, and then, they come home from work, gone. And we were just trying to be good landlords. Absolutely. Can we do that with the dog and cat as well?
Depends on where the takeaway is.
No. Seriously though, what do you see as the issues? I think the assumption here is that all people are little families with a couple of kids and they're renting family homes and they just want to keep a little doggy.
Listen, I think this is a non-issue.
What's wrong with that?
I think this is a non-issue.
Go on.
Okay, 56% of landlords do not want pets in their properties. Well, to me, I've actually accepted pets. It's a bonus. I actually jack up the rent and I take a full 5-week deposit and I make sure they've got insurance for any damage caused by their pet. And I've never had any problems. And generally the tenants stay longer. But let's flip this on the other side from the tenant's perspective.
What sort of properties are those?
They tend to be more family homes. Let's be frank about it. They're not HMOs. They're not flats.
Well, HMOs is a whole different ballgame, of course, because if you have a couple of dogs in the HMO, does that actually contravene the occupancy numbers? Because, of course, HMOs are licensed for a certain number of occupiers. Dogs are man's best friend. Do they count as an occupier?
Unfortunately not under the licensing rules, but we'll have to lobby for that change in licensing, shall we? If you want to lobby for that change, drop a comment below.
But seriously, I think the 56%, they've done this survey, yes, and a lot of people seem to be okay with it. And I think that's because there are a lot of single-let properties. Yeah. I think the issues are going to be in HMOs, they are going to be in people in flats, and people where the tenants are not necessarily families. Now, I know in our portfolio where we have studios, 1-bedroom flats, we have had issues with tenants. And what they do is there's a single person living in a 1-bedroom flat or studio, and they bring a dog in without permission. And they go to work, there's no one else in the family. So they go to work in the morning, they come back in the evening, and they've left the dog in a studio flat for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And obviously it's barking and causing nuisance to the other occupiers and all of that. So that's not fair either. It's not fair on the dog, it's not fair on the other occupiers.
Yeah. Well, as an example, I had a situation where somebody brought a dog and that was into a ground floor flat with its own exterior entrance. It wasn't going through common areas, but the dog was doing exactly that and yapping. Now, as the
Not
owner
barking.
well, barking, yapping, whatever. What noise does a dog make in your world? But the crux of it was that put me in breach of the freehold. So the freeholder got onto me saying, you've got pets in there, it's annoying the other occupiers, silence it or remove it.
So that's your way out. So if you've built a block of flats, or if you own the freehold to the property, you just put a clause in there that says no pets. There's nothing anyone can do about it.
Correct. And the freehold, the long leasehold agreement on that flat says you can have pets provided they are not causing a nuisance to other occupiers. If other occupiers complain, then you must remove the pets. Now, here's an interesting statistic following on from the landlords at 56% don't want pets. 68% of tenants don't want pets. So there's more tenants don't want pets than landlords don't want tenants to have pets.
That's a confusing statistic. But then, we use the word pet and pets. Now, one little poodle might not be a concern, but in a small property, if you have a Great Dalmatian dog or whatever, that might be a problem. And also, it's quantum as well. I mean, come on. Whenever you go into someone's house and they've got 4 dogs, it stinks, doesn't it? It stinks.
Yeah.
And as a landlord, when you get that property back, no one's going to want to rent it again. In that
it
space.
needs a good deep clean,
but
possibly even the flooring replacing and redecorating because the dogs have rubbed themselves against the wall, shaken. There's cat hair on the kitchen sides, in the cooker, and
there is this thing that there isn't clarity. Okay, yes, they can request pet or pet, sir. How many? Can they have a dog, cat, and a snake, and a
don't forget the goldfish. Goldfish.
How many pets can they have? There's no restriction on that, and there's also nothing on other occupiers. I mean, again, with blocks of flats and the like, smells do transfer.
Yeah.
And there are people with allergies. I have an allergy actually to certain types of dog hair and all of that sort of stuff. If it's not a hyperallergenic dog, it causes me problems. It's a dog's breakfast, isn't it? This whole legislation.
Let's put it like this: it's a pain in the ass. This is the legislation as drafted back in 21 says a landlord should accept a reasonable request from a tenant to have pet or pets with them. Define reasonable. I might be raging out my head, whereas you're sitting there calm as a cucumber. What's reasonable?
There is an issue actually, because some properties obviously are buy-to-let landlords, professional buy-to-let landlords, but there are a lot of people who are renting out a former home. So they're in a situation where they've gone abroad for 3 years or so and they're renting out their home and they're looking to move back into their home. Now, where does that owner's right come into play? Like, for example, if I went abroad and I was renting out my home for a year and someone moved in with a big dog, then I have an allergy to that. I don't want to move back in with that. Where is my right?
It's a really good point. It is a really, really good point. And unfortunately, as the landlord, your rights are less than the tenants. That is the sad thing about it. You just have to say, it's not appropriate for me. My reasonable excuse for declining you is I will be returning back to the property and I have an allergy and it's not appropriate for me to come in there. Now, going back to statistics, because I like statistics, and if you come to the Baker Street Property Meet, every month I share with you exactly what the state of the market is, what the statistics and the data is, and how it will impact your property business and where the opportunities lie. But an interesting statistic, only 53% of homes in the UK have a pet. So that's less homes than landlords not wanting it, and less homes than tenants who don't want pets.
I think it's a very confusing one. It impinges on landlords' rights. I'd love to know what you think. There doesn't seem to have been any discussion in the legislation about the number of pets that would be reasonable to keep, and also the suitability of the property. Either does it have outside space, or is it too small to accommodate a pet? And are there any co-occupiers in the property? These factors don't seem to have been addressed at all.
They also don't consider if you've got an anaconda and the other guy next door has got a chihuahua, whether that's going to end up being dinner and how you arbitrate on that fight.
Well, as you know, we think it's a complete dog's breakfast. Let us know what you think. Will you be letting pets into your property? And what is a pet? You know, that's the other thing here. But more on that as things emerge. We'll keep you informed on this channel, so don't forget to like, comment and subscribe for more later on. And join us at this month's Baker Street Property Meet.
It's going to be a cracking event, 300 landlords. We've got the bar where we network afterwards. Come with your questions and we answer them live on stage.
But don't come with your pet. They're barred from the Baker Street Property Meet. Get your tickets just for you. Leave your pet at home. BakerStreetPropertyMeet.com. See you this month. The Baker Street Property Meet is the UK's largest and #1 property investors networking event. The property market is going through monumental change right now, and at Baker Street Property Meet we aim to keep you up to date with the latest tips and tricks and insider tactics to help you keep on top of your property investing game and succeed in these troubled economic times. The Baker Street Property Meet is fundamentally about networking, because it's not what you know, it's who you know. And at Baker Street we aim to connect you with the people to make your property journey a monumental success. There's no better place to be to further your property investment journey than the Baker Street Property Meet. So make sure you're here, you're connecting with myself and Andrew Roberts, our expert guest speakers and 300 passionate property people each and every month. See you at the next meet. Get your spot at BakerStreetPropertyMeet.com.